Sup, everybody? This is Back to the Future 1985. We are here to tell you some little known facts about this movie that basically nobody knows.
Yeah, there's a little known fact about Back to the Future is that there was a huge party scene going on set. You can see Michael J. Fox here. He has what is actually the strap of a dildo. It's a strap-on dildo that's hanging off of his pants there. And he is freshly back from a bender. And you can tell he's actually bewildered here from the drugs. He's just coming off the drugs.
What a nightmare.
Yeah, he actually had to do this scene only once because it was so perfect. It's interesting, actually. This movie, if you understand what's going on in Hollywood, you'll understand that this movie was the place to be if you wanted to be a partier. Michael J. Fox was at the forefront of that. But actually, Brian, you told me that Christopher Lloyd had a big part in that. Is that true?
Oh, yeah. He was the central figure for the orgies. He was the Quaalude distribution. He had the cocaine hookup. One of his friends played Goldie Wilson, Donald Fullivov. He had most of Los Angeles on lockdown in terms of the cocaine trade.
Yeah, and in fact, I don't know if you knew this part.
Pause it right there.
Yeah, let's pause it right here.
Pause it right there.
Yeah. The interesting part is the we'll go back a little bit. This character right here. What is this guy's name again right here?
Yeah, that is Mark McClure, and he was a 1970s porn star. He was in the Debbie Does Dallas series. He was a stunt cock in a handful of other productions too. And you can see the hair; it's still there.
Yeah, in fact, that it's funny that we paused on this exact moment because this was actually his bust face.
Yeah, that's true. That is exactly a spitting image. Sure. And you can see his acting partner, Leah Thompson, there. She is one of, I would say, the most promiscuous actresses of the 80s. That set, the way that they all tell it, it was an orgy.
Yeah. I remember I had a friend who was, he worked on the movie, and he actually told me that the police were called on them multiple times. I mean, multiple times a night. And sometimes the police would come in and they would actually join in on the party because it was so alluring. They couldn't contain themselves. They couldn't do their job.
That's typical 1985. You can see Crispin Glover here. He is tripping balls through, most of the things that he did in Hollywood. But in the 80s especially, he was really, really into the psychedelics. And I think it's evident it was a better production because of it.
Yeah, and actually in this scene, you see he actually grabs this lady's ass here. And he actually, in this moment, he actually forgot he was filming.
Yeah, that's Leah Thompson, and she would go on later to sue him for sexual assault during the Me Too movement.
Yeah, he had to pay out some money during that, unfortunately for him. So now, this is a really interesting spot. I don't know if you guys knew this, but Brian actually told me this. Brian, you tell the story better. Can you tell the story of these two's relationship, please?
Yeah, it's a little known fact that, Michael J. Fox was... he has an erectile issue that ended up, presenting itself as Parkinson's later on. That he has an involuntary erection issue that was, the Leah Thompson here that's touching his shoulder, very beautiful woman. And, this is the 80s. He's, fresh off of puberty. And they had to have special underwear in order to prevent and to mask the constant erections. Little known fact about Wendy Jo Sperberger as well. She plays Linda McFly. She was a ridiculous cocaine addict, and that's how she met Christopher Lloyd, was through the cocaine parties of the mid-'80s.
Yeah. And actually, my grandmother played this character at the table right here in the middle. She played, I don't know if you guys knew that, but that's why I chose this movie, in fact.
You're going to see at the end here, you're going to see Biff. And, Crispin Glover, he hired I believe it was Thomas F. Wilson right here. He's rubbing it down there. They're just long, old school party friends. They were into bitches. Many late nights and dodging the police, and that's how he got this role.
Yeah. He was actually nearly homeless when he got this role, and a really cool story. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. He actually he opened up 100 animal shelters with the entire proceeds that he made during this movie. Can you believe that? Isn't that nice?
Just a beautiful human being. And it's really a shame that he was the villain because, he had a Xanax and Percocet prescription, for the years following this, mostly because he couldn't deal with people that thought he was a bully.
Yeah, people would spit on him as he was coming down the street. He told the stories of women that would scowl at him, women he found attractive. And that really hurt him because he thought that being a movie star would afford him the opportunity to meet ladies and men as well. And that's just, it's really unfortunate that happened to him. And that brings us to the next scene here with the box when they deliver this book. This is kind of an inside joke of the cast. What they did under that packaging was they had a box of dildos, and they got those dildos wholesale, of course, due to the ex-porn star. What was his name?
Yeah, no, McClure, but Christopher Lloyd was really the architect behind a lot of the sex games, the rampant drug use. Him and Crispin Glover were really sort of the kingpins. They were the older men there. They sort of directed the scenes. And a lot of these gags throughout the final cut here were, because of them. It's their dildo box. They're ordering them by the case, with the kind of shit that they were into then. Right.
And Biff actually, the character that played, the guy that played Biff, he actually made them put a scene in where he was nice at the end because, he feared this backlash. And that brings us to this next scene. This truck is actually a very famous Hollywood piece. It was owned by Ric Flair, actually. And Ric Flair was one of the biggest, that's right, one of the biggest wrestlers on the planet around this time. And Michael J. Fox, a lot of people don't know this, but a little known fact, he was in the front row of all the pay-per-views for about 7 years in a row. So these two became friends, of course. They were at the top of their craft. And this truck was given to Michael J. Fox to film with for one day. He wanted it to be his for one day, and Ric Flair was able to do that for him.
And Thomas F. Wilson, who played Biff, big wrestling fan as well. Part of how this truck came to be in the movie. He was the guy during the orgies that was just jacking off in the corner. Somebody needs a cleanup. He plays Jizz Mopper. So it's not necessarily like, just the love of wrestling, but he actually just really likes all bodily fluids.
Oh, that makes sense. I actually did not know that, weirdly enough. In this scene, you can see Michael J. Fox. What am I supposed to say? The guy just banged his way through that movie. I mean,
it is hard. It is hard to imagine, how much fresh 80s pussy that, one post-pubescent little MJF can run through. But, all reports that came out of Hollywood during this time just said it was a fuckfest. They said it was a drug-fueled fuckfest. Crispin Glover and Christopher Lloyd just sort of, essentially holding court on a nightly basis. They'd shoot during the day. Invite all the nubile actresses and the extras that, fit the bill back to the, I think they were staying at the Beverly Hilton. They were staying at the Beverly Hilton. They took over the entire top floor for the entire shoot. And, from some of the porters, they said it was a hedonistic fuckfest.
Well, I don't know if you knew this part, but the Suspenders actually, they had a lot of jobs. One of the job was that, Michael J. Fox, he was just so active, putting it mildly, during this film in the sexual areas of his life that they actually had to hold his pants up.
Yeah, as a bisexual actor in the 80s, with an erectile issue, essentially means that you're pitching constant tense. Little scenes like this were difficult for him. He kisses the girl, and then next thing you know, a coked up Doc jumps out of the old, DeLorean, screaming shit. And meanwhile, Michael J. Fox is just trying to say, okay, I better turn away from the camera. Otherwise, they're going to see, 4.5 inches of angry, tent in the front here, even through the denim.
Yeah, that's a good point. Denim was very hard to see those through in those days. That's actually why they chose that attire for him. And they actually...
Well, they said he's coming at you like a can of cat food. They said it's 4.5 inches long, but it's just real wide. So it's still very noticeable even through the denim. Like kind of like a can of dip.
Well, that's why they filmed this angle. If you'll notice in the film, he's always kind of facing off into the distance. Because if he's facing the camera, good luck, And
no, you never see his cock in the whole film. You don't see his crotch.
Yeah, that is the most correct. That's the most little known fact I believe about this movie. But enough of that. The doc here. This is an interesting story. So if you see this outfit, there's two conflicting accounts of where he got this outfit. The first account is he actually went to a YMCA and actually stole it off of someone that was working out there. And the other one...
No, those charges were dropped. That's
true. That's true.
It's still hearsay.
Do you want to tell people about the other theory?
They said that he showed up. He didn't get this outfit from I think it was Sam Bynes, who was doing makeup and hair that day, and he didn't go to wardrobe to get this outfit. He just showed up like this. He showed up with a half a beer can. He had like an old banana peel in his pockets and everything, and so they just and he demanded. He was all coked up. He demanded to shoot. Everybody was ready. He was there on time, but they saw he was in a crazy state, so they used it. And you can see here. These were the items actually in his pocket.
Right. Yeah. He in fact tried to eat those.
Right. And they had to restrain him. And, the
that's
California
not on
order.
film, unfortunately.
They order 51 him for one day. They had to stop shooting for a day when he was on the involuntary suspension. Yeah,
and he also, to add to that, if you'll see it right here, it's really not something that people should laugh about.
It's sad.
Yeah, it's sad. He just like his co-star who grabbed that woman's tushy from behind. He's gone here. You could see his eyes. You could see it a second ago. He had the crazy eyes.
Well, there's Claudia Wells right there. She played Jennifer Parker, and they're both disgusted because the man smells. He's reeked of a 2-day bender, and he really is. They're scared. He's really coked up and aggressive.
Yeah, you can kind of see it here. In the eyes. He looks him right in the eyes. And when a man looks at you in the eyes like that close, with the hand around you, and they're coked out, that'll put the fear in God in you, let me tell you.
Yeah, you don't break away from that. You don't call cut. You have to just let him go and just hope that, you're spared.
Yeah, interesting fact that not a lot of people know about. Michael J. Fox was so worried for his well-being, especially in the scenes where Doc was driving the car. He was so worried about his health. He actually was stated in an interview that he did with Esquire magazine. He said he thought he was going to die multiple times. Look at this guy's face right here. He's a war prisoner. That's a war prisoner. Look at that face.
Yeah, true. And no, it's a 100-yard stare. You're right.
Yeah. And so he actually, not a lot of people know this, he went to Northwestern Mutual and he took out more life insurance because he wanted his family to be taken care of. He's the breadwinner of that family, of course. He's a very talented actor.
Little known fact that he told Christopher Lloyd at the end of shooting this, he said, "I'm never going to fucking work with you ever again." He slammed the door in his face and he left. And then it turns out that Back to the Future 2 check, when that showed up, hey, you guys want to do it again? Then, essentially their feelings were mended, and we got the one of the most iconic trilogies of our generation.
What a great movie. What a great movie.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful story.
Thank you. I didn't know about 3 of those facts, so I appreciate that.
Oh, there's some little known facts, and also, it's good that you drop knowledge on the people.
All right, you guys, we'll be back with another episode shortly if you guys need more knowledge. Bye.